Hello, it's Desiree. Time for the story of William Baxter. Okay, I did not write this, and I can't disclose who did because they're just an advocate of justice. So I don't know exactly who did it. But I am going to read it because there is originally already a video posted of the story, but it's just like the pages and stuff. And it's just really hard to see and stuff like that. So I got in contact with Mr. Baxter himself and asked him if it was okay to do this video. So yes, I did get permission to do this and whatnot. So here we go. It is called Living in a Nightmare, the story about the wrongful conviction of William Baxter by an advocate for justice. Are you ready? You get your popcorn, your little cigarette, your little wine cup, whatever you do. Everybody different. Get comfortable, get your blanket, sit down. Okay. 30-year-old, I'm already messing up. 37-year-old William Baxter, also known as Squirt by family and friends, his grandmother gave him that nickname when he was a baby. Was born and raised in a middle class family in Indianapolis, Indiana, with both parents in his household. William is the oldest of six siblings, five girls, five boys, and one girl. I'm so sorry. Being that William's biological father and his mother were not together when he was growing up, his stepdad became his dad. William explains. My mother and stepdad were there for me with their love and financially. But I lacked a role model and guidance. My stepdad was a provider, but not the father figure in my life that I needed. I never had those tough conversations that I needed to help shape and mold my thinking so that I could learn back then what it was to be a man. My misconception of what is to be a man was learned from the streets I gravitated and adapted to. I thought that being a man was to never back down from anyone and being loyal to my family and friends. In my early stage of growth, I lacked the understanding to know that being a man was much more. At the age of 16, William's rebellion landed him in the boys' school for the battery and strong arm robbery of another young man. While William was in boys' school, he had plans on calling his biological father when he got out to connect with him once again. That call to connect with his biological father never happened because one day after William was released from boys' school, his biological father passed away. That's so sad. William's voice was cracking as he expressed his hurt. I was supposed to call him, but I didn't call him soon enough, and now he's gone. I still hurt till this day. As William grew into the streets, his lifestyle got him involved in drinking, smoking pot, partying, and selling narcotics. Following soon after engaging in such a lifestyle, he was arrested uh, for burglary. I can't even say that word. Robbing, dealing, and possession of cocaine. He was convicted and served. He was convicted and served 4 years in prison. Shortly after William was released from prison, he met Rose, and she became pregnant with his child in 2007. This would be William's first child and Rose's sixth. In that moment in time, Rose's 2-year-old daughter grew to William, and he became a dad and father figure to her. When he speaks of her, he joyfully says, "She may not be mine, but by blood, but she is my child through love." William's bond with his daughter as a free man was short-lived because he was sent back to prison for a probation violation in 2007. That's the same year. That's really sad. While serving his short-term probation violation sentence, he was misidentified and convicted as a perpetrator, can't even say that word, of another crime, he had no involvement in. William was sentenced to a 54-year prison term for the misidentification of that crime. Since then, William has diligently been. There's words I cannot pronounce. I'm sorry. William has been presenting evidence to the courts in his fight for his freedom. Facts and circumstances that led to his wrongful conviction. In October of 2008, while William was serving time for his probation violation, a detective came to the prison he was at to question him about a rape and assault of a woman. This assault happened a year prior to William's incarceration. William was not provided with a picture of the victim by the detective to refresh his memory about as to knowing her. The detective only provided William with the victim's name, Ramon, and the fact that he was a DNA match. Despite knowing nothing about this rape and assault, not recalling where he was at the time of this said assault, he was charged with this crime. Facts involving the rape and assault. In the early morning hours of September 29th, 2007, recovering drug addict Ramon was walking down a street in Indianapolis where she came across three men. The three men began walking with Miss Ramon, and suspect one eventually offered some cocaine to Ramon, which she sniffed off the off his driver's license. Ramon then accompanied the three men to an abandoned house. Although she was expecting to go to one of the three men's house, suspect one and when Ramon began kissing at the side of the house, and then he removed his penis from his pants and asked Ramon to touch it. Miss Ramon refused and said she wanted to go home. When Miss Ramon said this, the three men accused her of stealing their stuff, cocaine. Ramon began walking away, and one of the men distracted her to a shortcut to her residence down an alley. When she reached the alley, someone said, "Now," and suspect one put his arm around Ramon's neck and from behind and began choking her. Suspect one and suspect three then began hitting her about the head with closed fists, trying to knock her out. They then pulled her pants down while suspect two stood watch. Suspect two forced Mr. Ramon to perform oral sex on him while suspect one or three had vaginal intercourse with her. Suspect one and three then alternated, forcing Miss Ramon to submit to oral, vaginal, and anal intercourse with them. After about 30 minutes, the three men began to leave and took Mr. Ramon's cell phone and keys from her pockets. Then when Miss Ramon protested that they were taking her house keys, suspect one punched her in the mouth. The punch caused a laceration to Mrs. Ramon's lip that required plastic surgery and left a scar. Miss Ramon was able to summon help after the three men left. When taken to the hospital, Ramon was given morphine for her pain. At the hospital, a rape kit and Miss Ramon's clothing was handed over to the Indianapolis police detective for DNA testing. The same day, on September 29th, 2007, Detective Green conducted an interview with the victim, Miss Marone. In the interview, she gave a description of three men who raped and assaulted her. The description of the three men were: 1, Stewart, short, 5'7", light skin, black hoodie. 2, Slim, maroon shirt with sunglasses, medium skin, clean cut, short hair. 3, blue baseball cap, twisty hair, blue shirt, and short. The third suspect was a year later said to be Mr. Baxter after a DNA match in the CODIS database. Ramon stated to the Detective Green that she was walking to the bus stop when she came in contact with these three men, after the suspects made her smoke and snort cocaine. On September 30th, 2007, while at the hospital, Ramon told Nurse Malloy whatever, that she was walking home from the grocery store, dropped her clothes off at her home, and walked to her dad's before she went to work. She also indicated to the nurse that the suspects jammed cocaine up her nose and were blowing cocaine on her. She hit her head and was out of it, and that she was blindfolded. While in the Marion County Jail awaiting a court hearing, William received a record of discovery involving this case. The record included a DNA evidence found on Ramon's clothes, all statements given by Ramon, and a photo of Ramon. Upon seeing Ramon's photo, William remembered Ramon as a woman he hung out and partied with before having consensual sex with her in a bathroom in exchange for cocaine. However, William could not remember the exact location house they had sex at a year earlier. William was assigned a public defender who handled his case for 56 days before he went to trial. Because Ramon identified suspect Stewart by name and face, the one whose ID she snorted cocaine off of, the public defender mentioned the court to serve William to sever William from suspect Stewart. William's motion was denied and he was forced to go to trial with Stewart. At trial, Ramon testified that she was over at woman Barbara Ann's house partying. After she left Barbara Ann's house, she testified that this was when the rape and assault happened by these three suspects. Ramon's testimony gave a different description of events than those first given by her to the detective and nurse. During the trial, Ramon stated, "I was hit. I looked down and saw blood where I fell down, and I looked up and there was blood everywhere." Ramon also stated during trial, questioning that she did not get cocaine blown on her. Ramon stated that she was not forced to smoke and snort cocaine, and she stated that she wasn't going to the bus stop. Regardless of Ramon's inconsistencies, William Baxter had no involvement in this said crime of events. On William's own behalf, he testified about his sexual encounter with Ramon in a bathroom in exchange for drugs. William testified that his consensual sexual encounter with Ramon took place over Unk House because this was a place he would often go to hang out and where Ramon and he could have been together. Again, William has said from the beginning of recognizes Ramon's face that he could not remember the location, the house Ramon and he had consensual sex. They were at a year prior to him being accused and charged with this crime. Despite of the inconsistencies of Ramon's testimony, the evidence of Ramon's injuries and the DNA match convinced the jury that Ramon was raped and assaulted. William was convicted alongside the other suspect, Dion Stewart. Mr. Baxter was sentenced to 54 years. The state's winning argument now becomes known as the facts of the case. Mr. William Baxter appealed this decision to the Indiana Court of Appeals. On direct appeal, the Indiana Appeal Court only reweighed evidence. I think that's supposed to be reviewed. Evidence favorable to the state. Williams' direct appeal, post-conviction, and appeal to the federal court all failed because the state connected his DNA match to this rape and assault and identified him as one of the unknown suspects. Now to the newly found evidence of William Baxter's innocence. There was evidence not available to support and prove William's defense and innocence. Facts favorable to the state is that Ramon was assaulted and raped by three suspects. Recapping Ramon's description of the three suspects: 1, Stewart, short, 5'7", light skin, black hoodie, snorted cocaine off of suspect Stewart's ID. 2, slim, maroon shirt with sunglasses, medium skin, clean cut short hair. 3, blue baseball cap, twisty hair, and blue shirt. At trial, Ramon testified that she was over at a woman named Ann's house partying and that her rape and assault occurred after she left Ann's house. Mr. Baxter testified that he had nothing to do with the rape and assault that happened to Ramon a year prior to his trial, and that he did not recognize Ramon as a woman he had consensual sex with in a bathroom a year prior at the location, possibly Unk House, in 2021, years after Williams' conviction and sentence. The woman Ann, who Ramon mentioned as partying at her house, came forth with an affidavit. Ann, whose real name is Barbara Ann, revealed in this affidavit that William Baxter and Ramon arrived over her house together the night of this said crime. And William, Ramon, and others that were at her house were smoking and drinking. In her recorded statement to William Baxter's lawyer, she stated that a woman named Heather, and her twin sister walked Ramon to the corner where they walked her there, and that William was still at her house when they walked Ramon to the corner. Barbara Ann had not saw or heard from William after that night. She knew that William was locked up for a rape and assault, but when Barbara Ann found out in 2021 that William Baxter was in prison for a rape and assault on Ramon in an alley with two other suspects, she submitted an affidavit and contacted William's lawyer. The victim's testimony that she was over at Ann's house, and Williams claimed that he had consensual sex with Ramon in a bathroom at a house. All corresponds with each other. Pretty much backs it up. From the beginning of Mr. William being approached with these accusations of the rape and assault of the woman by the name of Ramon, he told the detective he did not commit a rape and assault on this woman. When receiving her photo, he knew how DNA was found because Ramon and he were together. He was always told the trial attorney that he could not remember the location. So at trial, to his defense of innocence and with his life on the line, Unk House came to mind. This never connected with William that Barbara Ann's house was the location that were at when Ramon and he had consensual sex at. Because he did not know that Ramon knew Barbara Ann, Barbara Ann's affidavit refreshing William's memory. If Barbara Ann's testimony would have been available for the jury at trial to weigh, Mr. Baxter would have been acquitted of the rape and assault. Here is the evidence. Number one, none of the descriptions given by Ramon match William Baxter's height or features. William is 5'11", dark-skinned, with distinctive features, a gap between his top front teeth, and a lazy eye. And that gap is big. I've seen pictures of him. Just saying. Very distinct and noticeable. Number two, Ramon only identified William's photo as to one of the suspects a year later after she was informed that he was a DNA match. If she was not informed of that, she probably wouldn't have named him. Just saying. 3, newly discovered evidence of Barbara Ann's affidavit connects William and Ramon together at Barbara Ann's house before Ramon left. This explained how William was a familiar face for Ramon to identify. Duh. Barbara Ann's affidavit and Ramon's testimony that Ramon was at Ann's house partying. This affidavit also explains William's whereabouts and the connection with his DNA link between him and Ramon. There was evidence in this case untested for DNA. All of Ramon's inconsistent statements as to what happened after she left Barb Ann's house. After Ramon told the police that she had been raped and assaulted and where the location was, Officer Decker went to